Bum de dum dum da. Event is starting. Yay! We're big. We're bad. We're back. Hello, everybody. I'm reading the chat, and I've actually. It is, by the way, as you all know, because so many of you here are Academy members. As you all know, this is actually me, not just here. And there's Andrew with the moustache. Did you? Oh, you didn't wax your moustache today. Ah, dearie me. Hello, Chuck. Hello, everybody. So, yeah, it's strange to believe, but just so you know, just to reiterate, we are all workaholics here, and we do work a gazillion hours because we're blessed. Hello, everybody, and I do answer all the questions. That is actually me. Look. So here I am. I'm on. I'm on yesterday's video here with John McBride, who is the sweetest, coolest, funniest, just most passionate person I've talked to in a long time. Did you enjoy that John McBride video? Hello, Tisbonos. Hello, Lisa. Hello, Scott. Hello, Anita. Hello, Aaron. Hello, Kenneth, Thomas. I know I've been saying hello in the chat, but I mean, wasn't that a cool video? We've got some great ones coming up. We got Ryan Hewitt's coming up in a few days. I'm just looking at all the videos that have been edited. We had a wonderful time in Nashville, so we really got to talk to a lot of people. Marvelous. So how are you all? Are you all doing wonderfully well, marvelously well? It's wonderful as ever to have you all here. Oh, we already got a dislike. Hello, disliker. They didn't like the first 10 seconds. No, somebody said to me, about dislikes, and I'm like, it just sort of proves that you're doing something right because other people feel threatened, so it's quite all right. But I did see some interesting discussion talking about, I do watch, review videos when I get a chance. I don't get as much of a chance to study other people's YouTube videos. Unfortunately, I wish I did, but I will say, I almost know, and I'm sure you do too, with reviews sometimes, with the personality involved, whether it's going to be a good or a bad one straight away, don't you? You sort of know, I think for us, the way we do reviews, and you understand this, is just by using it. And I don't have any expectations. I just want to see what it does. We had such a wonderful time, like opening up sessions like we've been doing here, and then just kind of play them and open up plugins and see what they do. So I'm going to do that today, obviously. There you go. We're back to the Pete Morose song. I'm going to put me up into the corner, so nobody puts Warren in the corner, but Warren is going to go in the corner. Ah, I'm up here. Hello. How are you all? So, wonderful. There's a bunch of you here. Thank you ever so much. Over 200 already have tuned in straight off the get-going. Thank you ever so much. Please like and share so that YouTube knows we're here. I'm going to see if I can get this chair up a little higher. No, I think it goes as high as possible. So, sorry about that. I'll try and sit upright. Jungle beat. I suppose it is, Anne. It is a little bit of a jungle beat. That street sweeper needs to go away. I was about to say, I don't have any street sweepers. And I realized you're probably talking about where you live. Hello there in Lilburn. I don't know where Lilburn is, Greg. Or do you mean Kilburn? Jungle beat, says Anne. I suppose it is. So what I wanted to try with this LMC plugin, what I wanted to try was using it in other ways, other obvious ways, or less obvious ways than just on the master bus. Now, obviously, this is the song we were working on before, and it's very unmixed mixed. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, it's some of the best musicians in the world. I mean, this is Victor Andrizzo on drums. We'll listen again. I'm going to put you in the corner. And as you saw before, if you were watching the last mix that we did, There's no reverbs on this. 0 reverbs. There's only one drum bus down here, and there's no EQ on it. I mean, all that beautiful low end. I mean, that is a performance with an NS10. It's an amazing drummer, a great room. It's my old studio. This is the same room we did How to Save a Life, the drums in. Did a lot of Aerosmith's last record in this room. It's a great sounding room. And then you throw into the equation Sean Hurley, one of the best bass players in the world. Again, 0 EQ or compression. So a lot of us, yeah, you can just, Analog Blog said you sampled it. I would sample it. It's a great drum track. We're actually going to put this one up in the Academy soon. We've got a lot of new multi-tracks coming in. Then we have Zach playing piano. And that is, as you know, those of you that watched it last time, that is my old, what's it called? Baldwin piano. It is a Baldwin Concert Grand. Thank you, Thomas. They are insanely good. How big was the room? It was a pretty darn big room. So let's just take out the vocals for a second. Let's start with the obvious. Let's go straight to the master bus. So I'm just creating a master fader. We didn't even have a master fader. Now we do. There's an occasional peak there. Do I give a rat's? No, I don't. I mean, this is Pro Tools 12. As you know, it's floating. We have all these discussions all the time. Its occasional transient is not going to upset me. That's just me. An occasional transient. I do not want to give square waves to my mastering engineer, but I am not going to turn a whole signal down like that. Now, what I might do is go in there and tame some of those transients. So why don't we do that? Why don't we go in here and just see what the LMC will do on that, for instance. So, and this is just, using, the reason why I want to talk about this is because we're going to use mastering or limiting. We're going to use this for other applications other than just the mastering bus. And as you can see, when I went to the master bus there, I had some transients. Were they a big deal? Probably not. But could I find a nice way of taming them in a much smarter way than just slapping a limiter on them? Yes, that's what we're going to do here. First of all, I'm just going to press play and see what the heck it does. Okay, so it defaulted to pop rock. I have never used this in this situation. I'm doing this for the first time. It immediately sounded better. So what's going on? There's a 60 boost here. There's a 120 boost, which is kind of unusual, a 3K, a 6K, and a 10K. And this is just a preset. And what is so funny is like I get a lot of guys and girls, people saying like, oh, I can't believe you used a preset. Well, you know what? Some of the best guys I know in the world, they just start off with a preset and then take it from there because I want to hear what this does. And this defaulted to pop rock. And I don't know what this song, I don't know if it's pop rock or not, but have a listen. Now, obviously, there's a volume discrepancy there. But there's a couple of things. I mean, and obviously everything sounds better, louder. But one thing I do notice immediately is there's an energy lift. What do I mean by that? It feels like some of the lower level stuff is coming up a little bit, which is giving me a little bit more, the ambience is growing. Listen again. And I'm starting it a few bars back from the chorus because, as you know, if you're watching the last live stream, Victor Indrizzo's reaching down and he's turning on the snare. It's great because he turns it on just before the downbeat of the chorus and you hear it coming in just before it, and it's awesome. You hear that? It goes So you hear the kick drum hitting, and it rattles the bottom snare. I mean, you can't pay for this kind of stuff. I mean, and as you know, this is a non-click track. A track that wasn't using a click track. Yeah, it's a little strange, isn't it, Warren? But we didn't use a click track. Hence why there's this crazy schnizzle going on up here. Because what I did is I took the drums, and afterwards I created a grid. I actually created a grid off of Victor's performance. Because if I was going to do any overdubs and I wanted to quickly throw in something, why not? Yeah, the kick also sounds brighter as well. It's very punchy. So what can I say? I'm dumb. I just open it up and it sounds good. So what I know about this plugin is, like, I've worked with Gavin Lurssen, obviously, and Reuben several times. They've mastered a lot of stuff. For me, they are the best guys when it comes to organic. They do a lot of cinema stuff as well, a lot of movie stuff, as you know. They're really great at that kind of expansive sounding music. And most importantly, music with dynamics. One of the biggest criticisms that mastering engineers get, and it's not unfounded, but it really depends, is they get blamed for all of what we call the loudness wars, that is something that mastering engineers get leveled at them all the time. And sometimes it's true, and sometimes it's not really their fault. It's the artist pushing them to do that, or the producer pushing them to get louder. I've spoken to so many mastering engineers that say that they're trying to provide a service and get the best results, but they're also providing a service, which means they have to also go with the clients. The thing about Gavin and Reuben is they're known for keeping dynamics. That's why T-Bone Burnett and Mike Piacente go back to them every single time, because, as you know, with T-Bone Burnett and Mike Piacente, you've got music that is, Alison Krauss from Robert Plant. Now, I like all kinds of plugins. I like L2s. I like really aggressive limiters. I like, you name it. I like the MV2 as well. But when I'm looking for something like this track in particular, that's super, super organic, and I want to maintain that, control some of those transients, but maintain the integrity, that's why I reach for this. This is, obviously analog emulation. It's giving you an idea of what it's like to master, or in our case, mix in their world. Okay, so just for schniggles, I got those levels to be the same, because I know people are talking about, like, hey, can you get the levels the same? Well, here it is. So this is pretty close. Here is a before. One of the biggest differences is, even with turning it down, I still am getting a much more aggressive sound because it's bringing up all the energy underneath. So anyway, I think that solves the point for me. I'm going to put it back to 0 because I actually like the volume increase a little bit. And I can always mess around with it afterwards. But you heard that there, where it's pretty much at the same level. The energy increase is absolutely massive. So this is what I wanted to talk about, because for me, it's like, when I've got a plugin like this, and there was a lot of you talking about this before we came on, that there's a lot of these plugins that you start realizing there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more use in this. And for me, having an intuitive mastering engineer plugin that's designed by people that know how to master is really good. Now, that might sound dumb, but I'm a mixer, I'm a producer, I'm an engineer, just like everybody else here. I'm a musician, I'm a songwriter, and the mastering engineer is my last line of defense. I call up a guy like Gavin and guys like Gavin and Reuben, and I go, hey, how was my mix? And they're always very complimentary. And they're like, hey, it sounded really good. And I was like, okay, how was my mix? They're like, well, we had to pull out a little 150. You had a little bit of a bump there. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right. And they're like, yeah, the bass had a bit of a going on. So they're my last line of defense. Mastering engineers are the guys and girls that you talk to that their whole job is to get these to sound great in every single environment. And so for me, when I knew they did this plugin, I was excited because I thought to myself, well, first of all, they're smarter than I am. They spend their whole life working on far more music than we ever will because they're mastering, on a bad day, they're mastering 20 songs or 10 to 20 songs. And of all different genres. So mastering engineers in general have a lot more, balanced view of music than we do. And, we tend to get stuck in genres at times. Even though I pride myself on working in multiple genres, ultimately, I'm never going to work in the same amount of genres as a great mastering engineer because I'm not working on 20 mixes a day like they are. So I love this idea, but I also know what I like about good mastering engineers, of which there's many. Gavin and Reuben are just one of many great mastering engineers, is their whole job is about preserving what you give them, but making it better. So what does that mean? That means subtlety. That means making something better. Better still. So what just happened there? It went to the preset. I didn't do anything clever whatsoever, and it made it sound better. And it defaulted to pop rock. So goodness knows, and somebody's saying here, Michael Dean, like on a bad mix. Hey, Michael, how are you? I think that you can solve problems and definitely make things sound better with all kinds of tools. But you're right. Quite often, the great thing about using a great piece of mastering software like this is if you go to something like a setting like this, you'll think to yourself, well, it's better, but it's still got problems. And if it's your mix, then it forces you. It's almost like having the mastering engineer available on the phone. You've got the plugin. You pull the plugin up, you open it. In 99% of the situations on a mix, it's going to improve things quite dramatically. You can go through some presets. If it's not improving it, then it's a great way to learn. A great way for me to go back and go, what the heck am I doing? Because this isn't just a plugin based on the idea of, here's a bunch of things that work well. This is actually based on a proper mastering engineers or these engineers' workflow, the way that they work. So I'm basically getting not just a bunch of buttons to push and pull, but I'm actually getting their expertise. That's why I like this. So you see what's interesting here? Now it's tamed all the transients. Even though the drums are perceptibly louder, look what it's done with my master bus. You see the master bus down here, it was clipping like crazy. Well, not clipping, it was sending in tiny transients. Now look. Hey, Scott Frankfurt's online. Hey, Scott. Scott rules. Have you checked out his video he did? It's amazing. He is a very smart, very humble, very talented person. Yeah, like Michael's saying, you see some of the really, really smart plugins, the ones that have 5,000 controls, are really, really good. However, as you've been noticing with some of the new tools I've been talking about, because we have been doing a lot of focus on plugins and stuff, is what I love about this particular tool is it's based on human beings, and don't hate me for saying this, it's musical. It's doing things that sound good, not just doing things to make them louder or solve problems. To me, it's a balance. When we were talking about the Goldfoss the other day, I loved that plugin. But for me, I want to EQ and compress something the way I want to hear it. And then I want to use correctional tools to maybe preserve that. This is a bigger, more global thing to make the whole thing sound better to me. It's a sonic palette thing. So I think in your collection of plugins, obviously have stock plugins, they do stuff. But you need a balance between tools that shape the sound and make them sound musical and enhance low frequencies, whatever, enhance the sound of it, and then correctional tools. To me, this is a bit of both, quite frankly. And like I said, it's like having a smart guy to talk to. So let's try let's try quickly doing something completely different. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go along and I am going to, let's find, you know what? I'm just going to slap it on the piano because that's the kind of guy I am. Now, this is a very simple, very well played part by one of the greatest piano players in the world. So I'm going to go in here. It's a pair of 414s, believe it or not, or it may have been the LCT 550s. I can't remember what year I did this in. What I did, first of all, I'm just opening it up and it's the same presets. Have a listen. And what I did is just a spaced pair. It's great, but it's so much more low end than I need. But it's fantastic. I mean, put the two together. But it does have that. It does have that warm sound that we want, that low, mid fatness that is pretty inherent in those kind of T-Bone Burnett, Mike Piacenте records that, you know, Gavin and Reuben are very famous for doing. So, I mean, just to have that sound available, I mean, listen to it. Obviously, there's a volume difference there, and I know we'll have a 5-hour discussion about that. But I can still feel all of the lows coming in so beautifully. Okay, but I'm gonna mess around. Oh wow! So look, let's have a look. Classical, brighter. Let's try that. Now, because this is a mastering plugin, I don't need this. That's there. I'm going to take some of that out. I'm going to keep the 120 in a little bit, and I'm going to keep my high mids. And this. Now, obviously, the monitoring stereo mono is a wonderful feature because it will check all your phase stuff. Now, already just that to me works, and I'm not doing anything else. So let's put the two things together. Yeah, and as Paul is pointing out, it's adding a little saturation. It's adding a little extra to it. You know, there's a lot of big transformers and stuff that they've emulated in there, and that really helps. Okay, let's throw in the bass. Schnizzle. There's a ton of energy in there, like a ton. There's a ton of thickness and everything going on. It's pretty crazy. Now for me, I'm actually going to back down a little bit on the drums, pulling out some of the low mids there, a bit of a low end. I'm going to go back to the piano. I already cut, but you can see how much it's doing. Cut some of this a little bit more. I'm actually going to turn down the piano a little bit. Clay wants me to put it on the bass. I'm going to put it on the bass. Let's put it on the bass. Now, I suppose we'll have to go to stereo input on here. Oh, the mic's falling down. Hence why you can hear thump, 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 thump. Sorry about that. All right, so this is going to be pretty crazy. What I love about this is we're sort of making it out as we go. And as ever, we're going to do giveaways with this. Dum-de-dum-dum-dum. And we'll sweeten it. We'll sweeten the giveaway. We'll give you... What are we going to do? We're going to give you this... What are we going to do, Matt? Hello, King Beasley. Excuse you. You're excused. You are excused. Bum, bum. Okay. I love how it defaults to pop rock again. It's just, it's interesting. It's like, I know there's a lot of tape emulations and there's a lot of like, I think what this is doing is it's sort of doing everything that you want. I don't know really how to explain it. It's like, this is the result that I want. And what I would normally do is use a tape emulation and EQ some low end and add a little saturation and kind of like do all of these things to get this sound. And here I'm getting it on one plugin and that on a default preset. It's punchy, boom, boom. You hear the punch and it's got the low end. And that's the default setting. You know, and this is, you know, on a mastering plugin used on a bass. Crazy. I think this is a big learning curve for us, is like knowing that, you know, just because it says mastering on it doesn't mean it has to be only on the master bus. Wow. Okay. Really, really good. All right. So we haven't even done anything on the master bus yet. I'm kind of afraid to. There's going to be so much freaking low end and low mids and so much fatness with a pH. Do you like how I said that? Because I'm about as hip as a dead parrot. Yo, fat with a pH. How English am I? Yeah, definitely some saturation. Yeah, it's killing the bass. It really is. Yeah. And like, you know, Michael's talking about using some of like the online. Michael's a good friend and very talented guy, Mr. Michael Dean. Read his blogs. They're really good. There is a blog actually up today, and you can go to the Produce Like a Pro website talking about this plugin that Michael wrote, because he's very smart. It's one of the most in-depth blogs I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, the sound source is great, Anne, but you can see the huge amount of stuff it's done there. I would be quite happy to open up one of my DI bass parts. In fact, actually, Andrew. Where's Andrew? Is he with us? Yeah. I might open up a different song in a second. Is Bleed available?
It can be, yeah.
Is it on the same drive?
Yes.
Okay, good. Then I'm going to open up a different song in a minute. Yeah, and I think that's another thing. Michael's talking about this, and we spend a lot of time. You know, we do mastering courses and we do a lot of discussion. I'd much rather teach people how to master music and show them tools, whether it be using all-in-one things like this or using stock plugins and stuff, because I'm all about learning. To me, it's like automated systems are fun, but it's sort of like almost like admitting that I don't want to get better. The reason why I do music, and I'm sure all of you watching here, because you are all super smart and an amazing community, is you want to learn. You're here to learn how to improve. So you like these kind of tools because you want to learn it. Using an automated system, no disrespect to any automated system, is really, if it's just a case of, you know, you're an artist, you're a musician, and you did a quick demo and you want to make it sound better. And you're using an automated system because probably most of the time the people who use automated systems don't know how to mix, and they're hoping that it will save their mixes. But you are all here and you're all part of this amazing community because you want to learn how to improve your mixes, your production skills, your songwriting, your recording, and of course your mixing and mastering. I probably said mixing 3 times there, but that's what I do. Hey there in Wales. The blog, I think Matt Diamante will put up the blog. Thank you ever so much, Tony. You are a rock. There's no algorithm for the soul. These tools give you choice and musicality. I agree, Mark. Okay, so we're going to do a Lurssen Mastering Console giveaway, and you can get a 2-for-1 at the moment, which I believe is underneath. They're actually doing a 2-for-1. So if you can buy another plugin. If you buy this, you get another plugin for the same price. So go and check that out. It's somewhere around there. Down there, there's links. But let's do a giveaway because I want to know more about you. This is really, have you or do you use any mastering plugins? And if it's an LMC, that's great. If it's somebody else's, I want to know, what do you use? For me, I use this, and I'm going to increasingly use this because it is doing, for me, what 4 or 5 different plugins used to do. When I wanted to get this analog sound, and I don't mean like, I'm not a Luddite. I'm not looking to like just make my stuff sound old-fashioned. I'm trying to make it get some bottom end. So much music these days has been high-passed to within an inch of its life, you know, badly, that we don't get the warmth because there's so much disinformation about that stuff out there. We all know that high-passing is really, really important and done properly. But it's all about us teaching and learning from each other about all these kind of secrets. So I want this. So people are using Ozone, Shadow Hills, all this kind of stuff. A Gregwell's, FEX. So you're not doing mastering. There's a nice one. I have Slate, but prefer someone to master. See, that's where I think here Mark's using 4 or 5 different ones. See, for me, on my master bus, when I mix, either in the box, I'm using 2 or 3 things maximum, usually 1. When I'm on my console, I'm using a bus and a bus compression and a little bit of EQ when I'm on my console. I find for me it's 2 different processes. This is something I would mix through lightly. So let's try something, speaking of which. What makes it a mastering plugin? Because you can use it independently on the own. But the reason why we're talking about it here is we're using it everywhere on the mix. We haven't even gone to the master yet. But now we will. Okay. I want to go, because this is an ambient song. I'm going to go through Americana. I'm going to go through this because it is an Americana style song. Cool. So you see what happened there? I took the input drive down when I first put it on because it's slamming. You could definitely hear it like, rah, you know? There I can hear it catching, I can hear a little saturation coming in. It's pretty fantastic. So what I'm going to do is like, that's Americana loose. You can definitely hear the high mids coming up. You can hear some like, you know, some schnizzle happening. Now, what I'm going to do is we've noted this is at -5.6. So let's just go through here. Oh, okay, good. So it kept my setting here, which is fantastic. So we're going to know this is going to be level matched now. Already like that. It's giving me something that actually feels more like tape. So that this is less glue. That's keeping it very similar sounding. Okay, I want to go for the brighter. I like that. I know I'm moving quickly. I'll play a little bit for it's longer so you can hear it. But I like what it's doing there. It's sort of like bringing up some of those snare grooves. Because that's the thing about Victor Andrizzo. He has this amazing kind of ability to kind of like put grace notes in there. He really is the king of it. Really like that. So what's interesting is everything I've treated suddenly starts to sound absolutely freaking amazing. So I'm going to bus my guitars together, believe it or not. I'm going to make them a stereo pair, even though one's an acoustic and one's an electric. Say it ain't so. What is that crazy man doing? Well, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that because I want to create a stereo pair. So here we go, 1920. We're just going to call that guitars, guitar sub. I'm treating these two the same. So we have an electric and an acoustic. I think one is me and one is David Levita. Those of you who don't, I think it's David Levita. I think we had this discussion before. There's some volume automation written on that, which we don't want. Say Bubba to the volume. I'm gonna have to be careful with this because everything I put through it sounds so much better because of all of the warmth in it, all of the low end and the low mids. But I don't need those in the guitars. I don't mind a little 120, so I defaulted to that. So but I like what it's doing on this 3/6 here. I don't care too much for the 10. I can take that off. It's not really necessary. But it's really, you can see how it's like acting up on the low end there. My wife and daughter are here. Bye. I love you. You got something on your arm? That looks very cute.
Come on, we gotta go.
Okay, I love you.
We'll be back later.
Okay, bye. And my son. Okay. Oh, the chain view. That's a good question. There you go. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. So yeah, lots more to talk about. So we've got the tube equalizer. We've got the solid state equalizer. We got the tube limiter, solid state de-esser, solid state compressor. So what these guys do a lot of, and you'll notice when I do a vocal chain in particular, is I boost the high end and then I run de-essing after it. And then I might boost the high end again and boost the de-essing on that. So what happens is I'm making everything feel brighter and more beautiful, but I'm controlling some of the high mid kind of like, you know what I mean? That's killing me. So to me, it's like that kind of balance of like making something brighter without making it so super harsh. Hey, so there's 371 watching. Can you please like and share? That would be wonderful. So I love this tool. I mean, what we've done here is we're using it as a full-blown bus compressor for our guitars, and I don't mind putting them together because I'm trying to glue things together here. I'm not trying to take a mix and EQ every single little point so it's like everything's sticking out like this. I'm trying to create an overall sound, and this is what it's doing a great work for me there. It's doing a beautiful job. Let's have a listen. For those of you who want to know, that's my 1970s Yamaha. Another thing this is showing us is like simplicity. It's about panning. I'm also not afraid, as you can tell, to mix into this. We're on the mastering here, so you can see what's going on. So one of the things watching Gavin and Reuben work is they have a chain of equipment that you can see here broken down. Thank you, everybody, for asking me to do that. And they are adjusting their input drive, because when you have like really beautiful pieces of hardware, like, you know, like they do, they're trying to balance everything so you're getting the maximum out of each piece of equipment. Some gear, as you know, those of you that have used hardware or used software emulations of hardware will understand that there is a so-called sweet spot. There's a place where you hit something just right and you get a little tiny bit of saturation. And maybe you get an additional harmonic. And you're like, that's really nice. However, you go a couple of dB too hard into it and suddenly it's like full-blown distortion. So a lot of this thought process is taken away from you and made it so much easier, which is where this huge, input knob here is really important. You know, you heard what I did. You heard going back a second ago or a few minutes ago, you saw that I adjusted the input so it wasn't hitting it too hard. Because if I hit it too hard, I get distortion, which can be pleasing and might be good on a specific genre. Maybe I'm doing an EDM track and I want to crunch it and give it some like guts and all that kind of stuff. But if I want to maximize this hardware, that's the way to do it. And just for me, I'm going to go into mono here and see how my phase is. Nice. So I'm really digging this, and we haven't even tried doing something silly on vocals, but we will. Somebody said, King Beasley, if I had £1 or $1 for overtime, I think he means every time, someone mentioned gain staging in the sweet spot. I don't think I've ever said sweet spot before. It's quite nice, but thank you. So you can get £1 from one of us. Yeah. I suppose sweet spot. What else would you call it? What would you like me to call it so you don't make as much money? But you want to make money, so. See, ultimately, that is what hardware is like, though. You know, that if you hit hardware too hard, it can give you amazing distortion. At least, you know, good quality hardware, or it can give you terrible distortion. And you do have to find that point where you like what's pleasing. Can I say pleasing? Is that allowed? I'm not allowed to say pleasing either. So you find the pleasing place, you know, and it is all about gain staging. It really is about gain staging when it comes specifically to hardware. And when you get things like this, where you get plugins that are specifically designed to, you know, use some of the analog emulation, then there is going to be these pleasing areas. I notice he didn't say sweet spot. Pleasing areas where it sounds more pleasing. MJUC, yeah, the MJUC has a pleasing area. Wilma, I can't answer that question, but I can say, Martin, I definitely can't say that. The money spot says, there you go, the money spot, says Roy. So we're going to call it, the money spot. It's the hardware pocket. Oh, Chris says pocket. Okay. So I'm just teasing, King. I know that you come from a good place. All right, great. So this is fun. Let's do another giveaway. And just to remind you, they're doing a 2-for-1 for us. So if you buy one of these things, you can buy another plugin of equal or similar value from them. And there is links around for that. And then we're going to try this on some other stuff. We're actually going to put it on in a different session. So I don't know if we can do that quickly. Is the bleed session, if we open it up, are we going to lose everything and you're going to lose me talking and everything? I think you are. You're going to go, it will go to nothingness. Nothingness. All right. And David Levine says, I play it safe and use my trim before plugins. Definitely. Read the manual or assume 18 dB. It's interesting because when you talk to mastering engineers and they talk about levels, they always just say, I don't know, does it sound good? it's an interesting discussion. You know, they just don't want you to give them things that are clipped. They don't care if you give them signals that look like this in a DAW or like that. It really doesn't matter from their perspective. They just want low signal to noise and no clipping, because that's what they do. They turn them up. Cato Bell says, hitting the hot spot. David doesn't like in the pocket. 2 guitars in a song reminds me of the technique used of One of Us by Joan Osborne. Yeah, that's a wonderful song. We were talking to the producer of that song for a bit, and then they disappeared. So I don't know if they're back here around. I'd like to talk to him a bit more about that recording, because I do love that song. As Adam says, we're in the schnizzle zone. All right, so let's do a giveaway. Has anybody used online, and how have you found it? Has anybody used any online mastering stuff? You know, I have not done that. Tell us about your online experience. Let's do a little bit of a consensus. For those of you that have used online mastering, and you can say, no, I haven't, that will also enter you into the giveaway. Have you used an online one? And if so, there's a group buy. I don't fully understand that. That's an IK Multimedia thing. I think if 40 more people buy, they actually give everybody another free plugin. So I don't know. Check that out. There's links underneath for all of this kind of stuff. But in the meantime, have you used no, yes, heck no, no, never, nope, not me, no, I haven't, no, never used, have not used, emastered and landed, smashed the song to bits, I chose the wrong settings. Why would you choose the wrong settings? Isn't that the whole idea of the no? Okay, so not many people are using this. Obsessed with Birds of Prey, Deep Purple drum mix. Can you try to do direction using this plugin? I know you've mentioned that before. I don't know if I would use it on this plugin would solve that. No. Yes. Did not like it compared to professional mastering. Yes. Lander not impressed. I haven't used it, so I don't really have a need to use it, so I'm not judgmental about this stuff, but it looks like 99% of people have never used it. And so those that have used it, what was your feeling? Okay, so somebody said they tried an online, I'm not going to name it, and then sent to a mastering engineer, and it was night and day better. See, somebody who said, no, I haven't, won. See? That's how we work here. We're not like there's no right answer. It's just an honest answer. So that's interesting. So I like that. I mean, I have no disrespect for the online systems. I mean, like I said, if I'm a singer-songwriter and I don't know how to mix my songs, it's probably a great way of getting a result. Because think about it. If you're just like a kid sitting there with an acoustic guitar and a vocal and you want to make it sound louder and you don't even know how to use GarageBand, let alone mix on it, maybe that works. But for the guys and girls here, when I always love the fact that there is a lot of girls involved in this. I can see 3 people's name, Anne and Anita and Lisa, all here talking. This is a really amazing community of different people. All shapes and sizes. Look at me. I'm wearing shorts. Talking about shapes and sizes. Knobbly knees. Anyway, if we're going to make a fool of anybody, let's make a fool of Warren. Okay, there's Michael's perspective. So the point is like, everybody here, we're here sharing information because we want to learn. And I think the problem with the online stuff is that's not, as much as it may be good for certain situations, it's not teaching me anything. Okay, so let's go crazy. Let's do something on a vocal. I hadn't even thought about doing this before we started the video. I hadn't thought about any of this. I just thought I'm going to try this. So I'm actually just going to create a vocal bus here. And you see, I'm still mixing this into it. I'm doing everything wrong. People at the moment are writing in forums about how Warren did everything wrong. I did it all wrong. In this forum at the moment, I can just see it like, oh, this guy, Warren guy, he did it all wrong. Yay, I did it wrong. But you know what? All that matters is the results. So, there it is. I just opened it up, went to default. We're going to go through some settings. Oh, help if we put the bus in. Warren did it wrong again. Yay. All right, here we go. Open up your eyes. I don't know which default setting I'll go to. I'm going to try something. Pop more glue, pop brighter. Okay.
Open up your eyes and you will find it's a big old world and it's yours and it's mine.
What's interesting is it's not actually driving it that hard. Now, what I quite often do when I've got two vocals like this, you see I bust them together. I want to hear what it's like with just him.
Have you got an ocean that you're crossing now? Is your compass all confused? Can you hear the wind? The storm clouds grabbing you. It's all now you're looking.
I love how it's like, it crunches it pretty hard, but I'm going to go crazy. I don't want a little bit of drive.
Have you got an ocean that you're crossing?
I want a lot of drive.
Have you got an ocean that you're crossing now? Is your compass all confused? Can you hear the wind? The storm clouds grabbing you. It's all now you're looking.
So I've taken off the low end there. 60's coming right.
Have you got an ocean that you're crossing now? Is your compass?
It's really hitting it hard. I love it.
Have you got an ocean that...
I don't know any mastering engineers in Canada. I mean, that's the wonderful thing, not off the top of my head. I'm sure there's lots of people watching here who are mastering engineers in Canada, Sean. But the reality is like, if you've got the budget, just send it to somebody like Gavin. You know what I mean? Why not? You know what I mean? It's like, I've always said to Gavin and Reuben that they basically, by doing this and producing something which is that based on their system, they're setting themselves up as thought leaders. And by being a thought leader, what you're doing is you're saying, I care about you. I care that you make great music and I want to help you. And I think that's a really important thing. There's so much cynicism in what we do, but ultimately, at the end of the day, they're giving away a lot of free information here. And I love that.
Have you got an ocean?
So I'm slamming that. I like it. Let's have a listen.
Have you got an ocean that you're crossing now? Is your compass all confused? Can you hear the wind?
Wow, there's a lot of drive going on now. Now the question is, do I want that much drive? I think the piano needs to back down on the drive.
Open up.
There you go.
Open up your eyes and you will find.
Yeah, I mean it's fat with the pH, and I'll probably get in here and do some more sculpting.
Have you got an ocean that you're crossing now? Is your compass?
But here we are. We're using it as an all-in-one plugin on everything here. It's pretty funny.
The key it is inside. Ooh, oh, open up your eyes.
Crazy. I mean, look at the.
The key it is inside.
I mean, it's glue. This is super glue orientated.
It's all where you're looking. All in how you look.
So as you notice, there's not a single reverb being harmed on this mix anywhere. We have zero reverb, zero effects. We need something. So let's create something quickly. Dum-de-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum. I'm going to take it off of the vocal sub. I love making this stuff as we go up. Oh, I put that on a master, so let's take it off the lead vocal here. Our view is all very strange from here. We'll create something here. Lum-de-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum. Let's see what we've got choice-wise. Okay. I am rather partial. We used this on the last mix, I think, for those of you who are following us, the plate. We did rather like this. And it was kind of a... I like their new design here. I think it's pretty tasty. I feel like they've gone out of their way to simplify the way these look. And for a brain like me, and you know, I'm sort of... I just want dumb. I want easy to use straight away. So let's call this Vox Verb. With 2 R's. Vox Verb. All right, Vox Verb.
Have you been to the bottom of the canyon? To the...
Okay, so that just defaulted to 1.3 seconds. It's got a little high frequency boost, a little low.
Have you been to the bottom of the canyon?
And it sounds freaking awesome.
Open up your eyes, and you will find it's a big old world, and it's yours, and it's mine. Open up your eyes.
So you see what I'm doing? I'm just going back and I'm backing everything off, because this is what happens when you work in solo and you listen to just the drums. They're massive. When you listen just to piano, it sounds massive, and then you realize combined everything's just getting a little bit too stodgy. It's sounding phenomenal, but I need to go back and just back off the inputs on everything.
Open up your eyes.
See that? Just I've gone in and I backed off like a dB on every single instance that I used it, including the master bus, and the whole mix has opened up.
Open up your eyes, and you will find it's a big old world, and it's yours, and it's mine. Open up your eyes.
Now, somebody said they thought the reverb was a little long. It's a little longer than I would normally use. I just went straight to the default setting on the plate. Typically, I like my plates to be around about 3/4 of a second. So let's just bring it down.
Is there a darkest mountain coming into view?
It always comes down to like how long do you? What's the tempo of the song? And what's the desired effect? I mean, if you put a massive wash of reverb, it could be a super fast song if you want it to sound like some dum 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 dum. You want a really upbeat Motown song, you can wash it out with a 3-second verb if you want, but you won't get that. You won't get those exploding notes. It'll just become a big wash of explosions. So typically, I always start with about 3/4 of a second on most reverbs and take it from there. There's no right or wrong way. And I think, obviously, the other great thing about reverbs is you can, of course, like if I wanted to here, I could open up. Let's go back in. That's fine. Look, I don't know. Here's a bus compressor. Let's take this. Okay.
Is there a darkest mountain coming into view? If we take a little time and dare to climb, there's hope for me and you. It's all in how you're looking. It's all in how you look.
So that's not even using... I'm not even using it with the sidechain at the moment. But if I wanted to sidechain, on a compressor, I can do that afterwards. I really like the sound of that one. I have not been using that, so this is a good excuse. You see, I'm searching. Like, what am I going to do? What can we do here? Let's have some fun. All right, let's do another giveaway. So, last but no means least, we're talking mastering here. We found out that most of you don't use online mastering, and a few of you had some bad experiences. I'm sure there are some people that have had some good experiences. We're not here to be negative about anything. We're just trying to find information out about our community and how we can help each other. I'm loving this. I'm loving what the Lurssen does with the, what's the best way of describing? I hate all the words. The words like warm, as somebody pointed out, the words like sweet spot. The reality is that when you're using plugins that have analog emulations, they are also emulating the way that analog gear works. And as we were talking about the sweet spot or the pleasing area or the, what was the other one? Hot. What was the other one somebody said? In the pocket. Whatever that area is where you start to hear distortion. It's like with Neve mic pre's, I would always take a 1073 and click it to distortion and then click it back one. As soon as you hear audible distortion at the beginning of it, click it back. It's still slightly distorting but barely audible. It's just adding some stuff to it. Yes, we're doing the mastering plugin giveaway. Joe says the words like good. All right, we'll stick with the words like good. It sounds really good. It's when I think of glue, I think of those extra harmonics and distortion that's being added very lightly on multiple things, which starts to glue things together. You could also think about it from the perception of compression. When things get squashed down a bit, instead of all the transients poking out, they're now being controlled. That also glues it together. So there's lots of things that glue means, and it's a little confusing. But ultimately, this little baby is gluing things together. And for me, the thing that I'm noticing most about this mixing, and I want to hear what you guys and girls think, is it's adding a lot of, and I'm going to say it again, analog. It's adding almost a sort of what I said earlier about it makes me feel like I'm working on tape. Now, coming from a guy that owns, you see that thing over there? Can you see it? Let's go. Webcam only. See this thing over there? That's a Studer A80. So I am old enough to remember, like making records in the early 90s, we used to do everything on tape and then transfer it by the late 90s, early 2000s into Pro Tools and edit. That was like, so I started just on tape and then it was tape transfers, but first records I made were on machines like that, like a Studer. So I've lived all the worlds and I still like what this does. Does that mean that I'm a Luddite and believe that tape is better? No, tape is not better. It is just different. And one of the great things about it is it's given us a wealth of music to reference. So you can go and listen to a Beatles album. You can listen to a Queen album. You knew I was going to say it. You can go and listen to a great Queen album like Night at the Opera, and you can hear the benefits of tape. You can hear all of those guitar harmonies being, I know, I'm going to say it, glued together because of all the extra harmonics and all the distortion and all the wonderful things. So we're always looking for those things because they're pleasing to our ears. Does it mean that old technology is better? Heck no, it doesn't mean it's better. It just means it has benefits. So we're always looking for ways to get that. So for me, this is doing that. It is giving me that ability. The biggest thing for me, I think, is important is this input drive, because ultimately you're working with guys, Gavin and Reuben, that have a chain of equipment and they are pushing into that chain of equipment. Let's go back. Okay. So you see here, I've gone to this view. So basically this is the chain that's being used on this particular preset. And by me driving it harder, I'm, hitting all of these things in different ways. And it's all an emulation of multiple pieces of equipment. This isn't just a piece of equipment. It's emulating all of these things. So ultimately what you get is not just a plugin that is got an algorithm that figures out issues. Not that that is a problem at all. There are many of those plugins which I love. We just did the Golfos. I love that plugin. It's like, but for me, it's about shaping the sound at first. It's about creating an overall sonic landscape, and then maybe I'll reach for one of these other plugins that people have been talking about. Hey, we lost the screen, by the way. Andrew? It's not on either now.
Well, it's going to take a little bit longer. 1 second.
Okay, so I'll just keep waffling on while he tries to add the screen back in. Oh, is that all it is? It just made it bigger? That's what she said?
Yeah.
Bada boom, bada bing?
Let's duplicate it.
Okay. All right. Hey, Eric is gracing us with his presence. Eric the hair. Look at that. Come on. Let's see the haircut.
Well, not a haircut.
You just got. See, you spent a little extra time on it this morning. You see that? Look, doink, 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 doink. You could bounce a tennis ball off the top of that one there. You know, this is a good look. In fact, actually, people do. No, Andrew figured it out, Mr. Milton Keynes. Marvelous. All right. Well, how many giveaways have we done, Matt? We've done 2. We're going to do a third one. Oh, please like and share. There's 404 people watching. Thank you ever so much for everybody that's watching. That's absolutely marvelous. We have 218 likes. If you could please like and share, that would be absolutely amazing. I'd really, really appreciate it. Hair Force 1. Hey, yeah, Hair Force 1. Like that. Does the hair color the sound? Yeah. No, it's Hair Force 1. It's like 50K's worth of analog gear inside that plugin. See, Steve? That's exactly. So yeah, it's a different philosophy. The Lurssen, this LMC is a different philosophy. Now, okay. What do we want to know about our audience? Hey, Clay. Smart Clids. Thank you, Clay. I really appreciate it. Lucky number 3. So we found out. Okay, so Wilmar's saying here, thank you. He says, if I understand correctly, tape is all about compression and nice soft saturation. But how can this be emulated when digital clipping's awful? I hope I can say this correctly. No, this is true. So what happens with the tape simulation thing is they are obviously, running multitudes of tests on it and working out what all of those things are that inherently make tape great. And that's the wonderful thing about digital. Now, I don't want to get into a digital analog discussion. Yeah, and I think Dave, I don't know who's at IK, Dan or Dave or whoever's online. Yeah, it's more about Gavin. For me, it's the great gear, but it's the Gavin and Reuben's know-how. And I think, to me, this is a tool that's worth having because if I want to get what we're hearing here, which is that big fat warmth to it, that's where I'm going to pull this on. Now, obviously, there are other tools that do this, but not all at once. The thing about it is like, I feel like to get this, I would have to use a tape emulation, some EQ and some saturation to get something does this. So it's pretty dumb. You saw straight from the get-go that just by opening it up and putting it on the drum kit and its actual, just in its normal default state, just kind of did everything I wanted it to do. I would just be careful because there's so much low end and warmth in this thing. He said warmth. Can you believe it? Warren said warmth again. Anyway, there's so much low end in it. One person's warmth is not another person's warmth. But anyway, you know what I'm saying. It came as a default just by opening it up. It was pretty amazing. Alrighty. Let us move on to the last but no means least giveaway. What do I want to know about you? I think we know that you've tried online stuff. You've had varying degrees of success. Not many people have. The Royal Hair Force, says Adam. And we've also discussed whether you've used real mastering engineers as well. All right. This is something, just because we had this little sideline conversation. How many of you actually, because I want to know about our audience. This is all about community. I want to know, how many of you actually have recorded on tape? And if you haven't recorded on tape, just answer, no, I haven't. No, I haven't is also an answer that can win you something. Yeah. Thank you, Orangutan Train Salesman. Yeah, the Eric Valentine video was really, really good. That's nice of you, Sean. Anyway, so the question is, we're going to do the giveaway now for the last chance to win this. And we're going to load this one. I want to know all about you. Have you recorded on tape? If you have, what tape machine did you use? And we're also going to give away, Matt, we're also going to give away a free year in the Academy. A free year with an Academy. So what have you done? Studer 2-inch. So you're going to get a free year in Academy as well as the plugin. Sure. 4-track cassette is tape. IK Multimedia said they've recorded a lot on tape, but they're not eligible. Hey, you can win the free year in Academy. For 10 years, Bob Powell did. Nice. Cassette, only cassette. 16-track, yes. 24 channels, Studer. Nice, Jimmy. Otari. I have an Otari, actually. It's sitting in another studio I have, collecting dust. 24-track. Fortunately not. Fostex. Another Otari. Studer. Another Studer. 8-track reel-to-reel. It's interesting. I was expecting more 8-track and 16-track ones as well. Terry says he's recording a Tascam. Hey, Terry. Mike Cantrell, Tascam 8-track. Okay, here's more of the 8 and 16 tracks. Oh, he started on a Revox, says Mr. Steve Took. 4x4, 1/4-inch 4-track in the early 80s. Oh, that's a nice answer. H10 Production says 15-track because one was SMPTE. Adam Fox one. Hey, Adam, congratulations. Only my Vox on tape was his answer. Actually, that's an interesting discussion. So what we used to do when I was working with Sadi, we did 3 albums together. We would we would record on 2-inch tape, do all the basics. So we'd do live drums, live bass, live guitars, live keys, etc. Dump it onto tape, edit it, and then when we come to do overdubs, we would record like guitar overdubs, you know, any extra guitar overdubs inside of Pro Tools. Fair enough. But we'd also, hey Dave Merkel, we'd also record vocals on Pro Tools. Okay? So we're doing all in Pro Tools. Then we would comp the vocal together, then take the vocal and transfer it onto a 1-inch Studer, hit pretty hard, and then put it back into Pro Tools. And when we came to mix it, it just glued in with the rest of the tracks. So it was a nice kind of trick. Now, I am not a Luddite. I do not believe that tape is like, it's done on tape, it must be better. I don't believe that at all. It's not. But it does have a specific role to play. So we're talking about this because using this plugin, using the Lurssen, we were kind of enjoying it because it was giving us a very similar feel to working on tape, which I thought was pretty nice. I don't think that was a design thing of theirs, but remember, you know, they weren't thinking about that. They were just doing what they do. These guys work on a lot of like Mike Piersantes and T-Bone Burnett's and plenty of other people's stuff, which is world renowned for being super open and organic. So for me, this is a great tool when I want to add that to my mixes. Let us mess around a little bit more. We've done it. We've put it on pretty much everything here. It's a very, very simplistic mix. Very simplistic indeed. Let us mess around on the master bus and see what the different presets are going to do. So at the moment, what I did on the master bus here is you could tell I brought the input drive down because it felt like it was hitting it too hard. Let's have a listen.
It's a big old world and it's yours and it's mine. Open up your eyes.
Yeah, I agree. If I don't have to edit another tape, I'd be very happy if I never have to. The other thing is Tim Palmer was saying, Tim Palmer and I did a panel at South by Southwest together a few years ago, and I got sort of like pigeonholed into a guy that loves tape, and I was like, I am not a guy that loves tape. I love the mentality that tape brings because it makes you go in and listen to each other and play off each other rather than thinking it can be fixed. I love that about it. But with all of these great tools now, we can fix so much easier. And when I say fix, everything used to be fixed. And I don't mean like beat by beat, but just like I want to shorten the bridge. You had to chop it on tape and hope that you didn't mess it up. You got it, and you found the transient on the kick and you marked it with a greaseproof pencil or a Chinograph, as we say in England, a Chinograph pencil. You marked it and then you played the song and you tried to get the 8 bars and stop in the right place because they're moving at 30 inches per second. 30 inches per second. That's fast. And you're getting to the end and you try to stop it like this. and you're like, did I stop at the right thing? And then you're like, zip, 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 zip. And you're sitting there and you're like, is that a double kick or the single kick? Am I going to cut it in the right place? And then you get it out and then you cut it and you take out those 8 bars and then you put them together and then you tape it back together and then you realize you missed a beat. And if you're lucky, you were the right side of the beat and you didn't chop it in the middle, you didn't mess it up. I mean, obviously, the more you did it, and I did it a lot, I got quick at it and I got good at it. But nowadays, if I want to shorten this song, I can go to a downbeat, I can tap to transient, and I can tap to the next transient, and then cut it and put it back again. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I did it, Roy. You know, 30 IPS definitely does make your cut more accurate because, you know, but I'm saying is it's moving pretty fast. It's moving pretty fast. I mean, you can get that cut right on it, but the point is like there was no visual aid. It was all done by hearing. So that is the advantage of tape. It forced you to listen. Mixed Club says they don't see the discount, so can somebody help them out with that? Okay. I love it. Real Raven 2000 says, Mr. Beat, haha, that's how King Crimson invented 7/8. If Dave Kersner is watching this, he is a prog head like the rest of us. Dave, are you watching? He's a total prog head. So he'll like the King Crimson reference. I could do that all day. We could talk about Crimson all day. We can talk about Genesis, Nursery Crime. We can talk about early Yes. Let's do it.
And you will find it's a...
Okay, so I'm going to... This is Americana Loose Brighter. I'm going to bring down a little bit of the 120 boost. I'm bringing down a little bit of the 60. I'm going to listen.
And you will find it's a...
So I like what it's doing. I think the acoustic is occasionally sh-sh-jing, sh-sh-jing, a little bit too much for me. So I'm going to my chain up here. I'm going to my de-esser. I'm going to increase the de-essing. So it's not really catching it there. Let's have a look. So it must be set to a different frequency. It's probably a lot higher. So I solved it by just bringing down the 6K a little bit and boosting the 10 above it. Wilma says, have I ever mixed a song drunk and then listen back the next day and go, oh my God. That was a long time ago. I do not partake. Okay, there you go. That was simple. So I thought the de-esser was going to solve it, but because the de-esser was set above the frequency, I just brought down the 6K. Great. And if I'm not advocating, like, if that was a bit of a problem, I could just go in and open up a generic de-esser. I mean, I could just go to a stock de-esser here, and just do this. There you go. Solved it instantly. So I have, this is not a one size, one thing fits all, but yeah, combination works great.
And you will... It's a...
Love it. Okay, so I've got some width on the guitars. Let's throw this in as well. So now they're both going in. Sorry about that. Now. Love it. Okay. I'm having fun with this. Before we know it, about 4 hours will go. Okay, so now I'm going to create another sub. And shout out to Blue, by the way. Shout out to Blue. We're having a great time with these Blue headphones. And I just heard that Blue got bought by Logitech. Did you guys hear that? I think I heard it from you. It's amazing. I'm like going, I heard it from all of us amazing community here. So I can't remember who told me. I'm sorry, whoever told me, but yes, I did. You guys did tell me that Blue had been bought by Logitech, which kind of makes sense. They're making so many kind of prosumer stuff now. I'm not surprised because like these kind of pieces of stuff here. But shout out to Blue. We love these headphones. Okay, so now I'm going to go and find myself a nice reverb. And I'm kind of tempted to stay in a plate, but I'm not because we've already done this. Let's just go for a room. We've done the plate. So that's a really, that's pretty short. That's nice. The decay time is only 1.65. I mean, I love it. It's just too loud. Let's bring it down massively. Now, what do I always do? You know my trick. If I've got a guitar pan slightly left or slightly right, I pan the reverb the other way. So I'm just going to do this. See what I'm doing? It's probably hard to tell on this tiny little screen. But I just reversed it. So the left is the right and the right is the left now. So the guitar that's over here is going to have its reverb over there. The guitar that's here is going to have the reverb over there. It creates extra width. I liked the ultrasonic as well until they broke down and I couldn't get them fixed. Did I just say that out loud? Still using the Lewitt. They've never let us down. We have a lot of Lewitt mics. As you know, I bought the 550 LCTs a long time ago. So I fell in love with the company. The reason why we talk about products is because we use them. And those of you that have followed me will know, you can go back 3 years, one of my earliest videos, you saw me using T-Rax. T-Rax is one of those dirty little secrets that every other guy I know uses. We use it all the time because it's a quick fix. If you want it to be loud, bright, and smack you over their head and sound super modern, or you want low end for days, the T-Rax is a great plugin for that. The LMC here, for me, is a mix tool that I can use. I would still give this to a mastering engineer, but huge fan of T-Rax. Check that out. Cool. Let's put it in the mix. Now you can tell, for those of you paying attention, that electric guitar is super loud, and you can actually hear it ducking on the master bus. Loving it. Still need to come on the input drive. This is what you should be doing. You should be taking breaks, listening. Make T-Rax your main squeeze, not your sign action. Oh, I used it. I used the T-Rax. I won a mix recently against a couple of very famous mixers. One in particular who's more. You can see more in doing more plugins than any other person. Shall remain nameless. I won the mix on the album, and. First of all, I think I just gave it more love. I didn't just put it for a system. I spent a long time mixing it, and I really wanted to mix this album. So I tried super hard, and the album sounds phenomenal. But at the end of the mix, I stuck a little T-Rax on it, just a little bit. I did. And I think it just took it over the edge. Here we go. Cool. Now, this is the typical thing when you're mixing, is the last thing you're working on is too loud. I mean, the acoustic's covering the snare. Listen to it. See, I just brought the guitars down massively. They came down 4 dB. Listen to how much it opened up. The vocal came forward, the snare came back. There's tons of pumping still going on. Can you hear that? things are like ducking invariably at different areas.
And you will find it's a big old world, and it's yours and it's mine.
So you see I'm backing off the DS, and now the vocal's coming back to life.
And you will find it's a big old world, and it's yours and it's mine.
Get 1 to 2 dBs worth of gain reduction.
And you will find it's a big old world, and it's yours and it's mine.
I feel like the vocal's choking a little bit. Remember, I'm doing no compression to the vocal except for just using this.
And you will find it's a big old world, and it's yours and it's mine.
So I'm actually increasing it here.
And you will find
Here.
and you will find
1 to 2 dB, it's going.
and you will find
So even then, I can't really abuse it. I'm trying to make it do more than it wants.
and you will find
Pretty tasty.
and you will find
So it's smart. It's stopping me from messing up the music too much.
and you will find
But it's instantly kind of done it.
and you will find it's a big old world, and it's yours and it's mine.
And those of you will notice there's no samples when I go into solo here. Doesn't seem to be affecting my CPU much at all, does it, really? You've got to bear in mind that I've got a bunch of different plugins on this. So great question, Lisa. Really, really good question. What I'm loving about this is like it's not really massively affecting my CPU, considering this is supposed to be, you know, how many instances of stuff is going on in this? An EQ, a tube EQ, a solid state EQ, a limiter, a DS, or a solid state compressor. Plus all of this extra schnizzle going on here, extra EQs, etc., and obviously the way to drive it here. There's a lot of processing apparently being done, but it's not smashing my CPU massively. So to answer your question, we've got it on the drums. We've got it on the bass. We've got it on the guitars here. And we've got it on the piano. We've got it on the vocal. And we've got it on the master bus. So, I don't know. That's probably a lot of times and we're having no problem.
Your eyes, and you will find it's a big old world, and it's yours and it's mine.
I think for me, I would pull out a little 400 to 600 in the vocal. And that would be done on individual EQ. I mean, we can go in and have a quick look on that. You hear that, wah, gets a little carried away. That's not a mastering kind of fix-it-all thing. We can just go in here. We can go, oh, there's a 73, an 81. I haven't actually tried this yet. See how bad I am? Let's go to that 700 there.
Open up your eyes, and you will find it's a big old.
Immediately opened it up. It's great. Now a little high end.
Open up your eyes, and you will find
That's immediately better. And we didn't do much.
open up your eyes, and you will find.
Questions, HS live streams. Warren, do you ever bus multiple vocals and stack effects there? Some folks like don't do it. I mean, I'm bussing both those vocals together at the moment. I've got the lead and the background together.
Open up your eyes,
And I haven't got any effect on her. It's just him.
open up your eyes.
It's a background. I want it to feel like it's not. She doesn't sing a verse. She's just singing along with him. So I'm actually, Kip, Toilet Tunes. My computer's actually quite old. I need to upgrade it. It's a little, it needs to be a little bit more. Who's the singer? It's Pete Morose.
Open up your eyes, and you will find.
A little bit on that F. Yeah, I hate what you're saying.
And you will find.
It doesn't bother me that much. I mean, that's one of those things that, don't be afraid to get a de-esser out if you think it's there. You know what I mean? Adam says I'm looking rather blurry. I don't know. I think that's probably my best side.
And you will find it's a big old world.
Yeah, I don't have that much power on this, believe it or not, because we're actually running completely native here. This is just inside of the computer. But remember, I also have an HD system as well, so I'm running cards. So I never really run out of power. And I've been doing this long enough that I can solve issues. If I'm stacking tons of plugins and I start getting a little bit carried away, I'm wise enough to go, oh, you know what? I don't need those 5 things. I should change this. There's always a relationship issue when you've got plugins that you can be boosting and cutting, and that can get a great idea. But sometimes it gets a little crazy, and I realize that I'm just tying myself into knots. So what I'll end up doing is removing a bunch of plugins and kind of starting again. Yeah, it's my blurry side.
Open up your eyes.
As Michael said, you should have a dedicated computer that's not online. However, if we had that, we wouldn't be online, would we?
And you will find it's a.
Now, I don't usually get carried away with plugins, Martin, but, when I can, I will. All right, this has been absolutely wonderful. This has been so cool. I can't believe how incredible we have. Thank you, IK, for participating in the giveaway. That's a big deal. Did we do our last giveaway, Matt? I believe we did. I don't see any text from Matt. And please like and share. I see we have 365 people watching and 283 likes. Would you mind liking? That would be absolutely amazing. Please like and share. Bad audio is a hate crime.
Have you been to the bottom of the canyon? To the bottom of all alone? Did you ever stop to think there's a diamond in the dirt below? It's all where you're looking. It's all in how you look. Is there a darkest mountain coming into view?
Yeah, this is OBS Studio.
Have you been to the bottom? Is there a darkest mountain coming into view? If we take a little time and dare to climb, there's hope for me and you. It's all in how you're looking. It's all in how you look. Open up your eyes, and you will find it's a big old world and it's yours.
Thanks, IK. Yeah, it's an insane band. Victor and Drizzer on drums. Zach. Wow. On piano and keys, Zach Ray. And, of course, Sean Hurnley on bass. I mean, an insane band. I was playing acoustic on that, so you have to excuse that. But, yeah, an amazing band.
Eyes, and you will find it's a big old world and it's yours and it's mine. Open up your eyes. Have you got an ocean?
some nice overdrive here. What was that? It's not the piano. Oh, there it is.
Can you hear the
Together. Nice. I'm just having too much fun here. I don't want to get off there. Even though I've got a million things to do and it's past 12. Just too much fun. Far too much fun. Hey, thanks everybody that's liking. Really appreciate it. I don't know what's for lunch. What did you buy me? Oh, Clay bought me lunch. I think we'll go to Roro's.
your compass all confused? Can you hear the
It's amazing how you hear that guitar distortion there.
all confused? Can you hear the wind? The storm clouds grabbing you. It's all how you're looking. It's all in how you look.
No, just the OBS for streaming.
Oh, if you
So that's my Yamaha, the 70s Yamaha. Yeah, I mean, Roy, unfortunately, you know, we're going on YouTube, so.
it's all in how you look.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. So, IK, we're just talking about that. We should be going, but I'm talking still. I've got a call I've got to get on. But yeah, the push control is really useful. We should automate that because at the moment I feel like I need to introduce a little bit more dynamics. So I would probably, frankly, automate my verses and my choruses on that push just so the chorus has a little extra. You know, there's a lot of dynamics because there's great performers in here, but a little extra, you know, a little extra kiss, a little extra hit here and there is fantastic. All right, everybody, you've been absolutely amazing. I've been Warren. You've been the incredible community, and you gladly pay me Tuesday for a burger today. Thank you, not hardly. And of course, thanks everybody that's liking and sharing this. This really means a lot. Thank you, IK, for the giveaway. Thank you for letting us use this. And have a marvelous time recording and mixing. There's lots of links and stuff below. They're doing a 2-for-1 sale at the moment. So you buy one of these, you can buy another plugin for each equal price and all kinds of wonderful stuff. And apparently I've got to go to stop streaming up here. I think I have to hit 2 different things. I have to hit over here. Have a marvelous time recording and mixing. See you all again very, very soon. Marvelous.